Thanks, Bjarke. Hi, everyone. As Bjarke said, I'm a professional photographer based in Bergen, doing commercial and industrial work. Industrial covers mining, manufacturing, and that sort of thing. And then the commercial work, I do a lot of work for advertising agencies, corporates, and things like that. In addition to that, I also do my creative photography. I've had quite a few one-man shows globally. And it's what I love to do. And one day, hopefully in a position where I can choose my clients and just do my creative work. But that's not why we're here today. Bjarke and Judy asked me to give you a talk on getting decent portrait pics or profile pics using your cell phones, particularly your smartphones. So what I've actually done rather is I've put together a deck. It's not there by PowerPoint, but I've put together a deck of slides going through on how you can do that, either by doing a selfie or asking somebody else to take the shot for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. I wish I could see it. Hello, where did it go? Apologies. Okay, I just want to make sure everybody can see that screen.
We can. Cell phone portraiture.
Okay, thank you. Cool. So cell phone portraiture, yeah, I'm doing portraits with a DSLR or normal cameras, tricky enough, but cell phone portraiture can be easy to do if you follow certain steps and guides to do it. Because you don't want to end up with a selfie with a duck face or at the wrong angle or one that doesn't represent you properly. What Bjarke and Judy asked me to go through with you is to get a presentable profile pic that you can use for websites that can be used for press releases and things like that. So the most important thing about portraiture about you, it's all about the framing. Okay, there you go. It's all about the framing. It's how you frame yourself or the subject. Whether you're doing a fun shot like at the top left or a pensive shot, which would be Leslie top center, or even a situational shot of Dane Hurst, where I took a photo of them. These are all done with a cell phone in London at a gallery where I was exhibiting. Goats can need portraits too. Then there's a gentleman who's in the services industry. He runs a hotel down in Port Alfred. And then lastly is Julia, which is more of a creative shot using the background as part of the composition of the shot. So those are samples of different kinds of shots. Not all are correct, not all are good, but it is a start. So let me take you through how to get a presentable portrait pic. The whole thing about a portrait pic, it's about you. It's all about you and getting a shot of you relating and almost conversationally with the person looking at your picture, and needs to represent who you are personality-wise, not just physically, but personality as in, are you grumpy, are you happy, are you a professional, are you not? So eye contact is absolutely, absolutely important. Making eye contact with the subject, whoever's looking at the photo. If it's just you in the photo, it's eye contact, it's being pleasant, and to fill the frame, as in these images, all done with a cell phone, as they are in different ways filling the frame and making them the most important part of the photograph. The other way of doing it is to add in more about it's what you do and it's about you. Where in the image will be a task or a related object. For example, there's a cell phone shot of Colin Wells, and that's his business, Colin Wells Framing. So it's about more the personality of the business. Next to him is Baked Ink, a tattoo artist and very talented artist based in Cape Town. And there's sitting behind glass but near a mural he's just done. Bottom left is Gustav, Chef Gustav. I photographed him with some hamburgers he just made in his kitchen that the hatcher get served. Then you get Mark, who's working on his computer or he's drawing on an easel, but busy with something he is doing, which still makes him relatable. And then you have Lon Wabble, who's playing with one of my cameras, but he's also a very talented photographer. So while except for Warren, none of these people are looking at you, the photo is more about them and tells you a story about them. But let's go on to using your phone. 2 ways of doing this that I recommend. One is you take a selfie with your phone, which is the most obvious one. The second is you actually ask somebody to take the photo of you with your phone. So what I'll go through now is some tips on doing both, either taking a selfie or getting somebody else to photograph it for you. Please, you can stop me at any time to ask questions. It's good to this more collaborative and more interactive. So if you're taking a selfie, sorry, I don't have my chat screen open. Here we go. Okay, I've got the chat screen open as well. So you have questions that you want to put through to on the chat screen, and I can answer that for you.
Karl,
Okay,
Karl, I'm just Brittany, if you can watch the chat screen and then interrupt Karl from time to time if there's anything, okay?
Yeah, okay.
Well, I've got it right in front of me as well. So I'm using 2 screens. Okay, on taking a selfie. Obviously, taking a selfie, you want to see yourself on the screen and what you're doing. So you'd be using your front-facing camera, which is the camera on the screen. What's very important with the front-facing camera, it's a slight wide-angle lens. So it's not the greatest for good portraits. It's great for selfies and things like that. So the trick with a front-facing camera is to keep it level. Never hold it above you or below you, but keep it straight on you. Otherwise, you will get distortion. And I'm going to go through these points in more detail as well. Important is frame yourself properly in the screen, as I showed you in some shots earlier. What's always cool to do is sit at a bit of an angle and then look at the camera. I will go through this with you. And so you avoid that ID photo pose, as we like to say. If you look like your passport photo, you're too sick to travel. Or you can do it seated, relaxed, and in a conversational pose, almost like you're talking, having a conversation or listening to the person who's actually looking at your photograph. And very important, do not get your arm in the shot. When people take a selfie, the camera's out here, and then you get the arm in the shot. And it's obviously a selfie. You want to fool people into thinking that somebody else took the photo of you, and it wasn't selfie. On some smartphones, like an iPhone, I'm not sure about Android, the front-facing camera can be used in portrait mode as well, if it's available. What's great about portrait mode, and like I said, I'll go into this more detail, is that you can adjust your depth of field, which is how much of the image is in focus. And then also what's great is correct perspective. So you get away from that distortion that a wide angle will give you, which I'll show you now. So taking a selfie, first thing is get the angle right. I thought the best way to do images in a selfie is I took selfies. So get the angle right. Shooting from below, no. It's not as a profile pic. It's a profile pic that you want to use for media or something like that. From below is not a good idea. And you always normally end up with a double chin anyway. And on the left-hand side, you got one where I took it slightly from above. It's not too bad, but it's weird. And both of them are very badly framed. So from above or from below is not a good idea. It's not very professional looking at all. In your selfie, what I like to say is be present. And it's what I mentioned earlier, is keep eye contact with the camera. And just remember the camera on your phone. So if this is your screen, the camera of the phone's at the top of the screen. So what a lot of people will do is they'll look into the middle of the screen and then what happens, you're looking below the camera. So when you take a photo with the camera in front of you, make sure you're looking at the camera and not the middle of the screen. Then it makes eye contact. When I say take yourself seriously is avoid the duck faces, pulling faces, joking around, because this photo is to represent you. Because once again, as I said earlier, it's about you. So if you're joking around, people are not going to take you seriously. You're pulling faces and things like that. It's not professional. It's something you can take photos to use on Instagram or Facebook or something like that, but not when it's been sent out for use in the media or in presentations or in a slide deck or something like that. So yes, and looking not into the camera, you start to get a far away look. It's not cool. Also, no distractions. So avoid busy, cluttered backgrounds. And a good example of getting rid of that is using depth of field, which you can use in portrait mode with some phones. And what I've used on my screen for the Zoom call, my background is scarily untidy. So I've put it out of focus. So it's less cluttered and less distracting for when I'm on the screen. So, and also the one shot of myself there, good example within your arm is in the shot and you can see perfectly clear that I've taken the photo myself. As well as the other one with my friend Ross on the background photo bombing. Watch out for things like that. And the reason he's there is because I've used them for the take a picture, get a friend to take your picture example. Now that is one grumpy guy sitting there. And that's why I say be approachable. So don't have a grump, don't scowl. Be a bit more approachable and friendly. You want people to see you as you are. They want their personality to come through, your personality to come through, but also that you're a bit of a more pleasant person than that grumpy sot that's in that photo right there. So obviously all the photos I've put on these slides are examples of what not to do. So when you take a selfie, it's about you. And now I'm going to repeat this over and over because it is about you. So making eye contact with the camera. The one on the left, you can see I'm looking at the center of the screen. So my eyes are looking down a bit, but it's still possible. And the other one, I'm looking straight at the camera. And what I've done is two different things here, is trying to keep the background less busy. On the one, I've used a door frame, so it's a geometric shape in the background that makes the background a bit interesting, but not distracting. On the other one, and I'm sitting down as well. Sitting down at the table, so my arm is resting on the table, the phone at the end. So it's not holding my arm out. The pic on the right-hand side is I'm standing up and I've used a blank wall behind me to get a clean background. And I've cropped myself just at the shoulder. So my arm could be down, it could be up, it could be anywhere. So it's not distracting and showing that I'm taking the picture myself. I've tried to be a bit more pleasant than my grumpy self and make myself a lot more approachable and disarming. And I fill the frame. So I am the subject of that photo, as a photo you would take of yourself, to keep yourself the subject and not to be in the bottom corner or the top or on the side, centered and present. Now, if you have portrait mode on your phone, such as iPhones, some of the Samsungs, Hawaii's, where you have more than one lens, it usually has your portrait mode ability, where it uses both lenses. And there you can change your depth of field in the edit. When you use the onboard editing software of the phone, it allows you to change your aperture. And you can see on that shot on the right-hand side, I've got a very deep depth of field, which means just everything is more or less in focus, from myself to the background, a lot of detail. And on the left-hand side, after taking the photograph with the on-phone software, I've been able to make the background out of focus. What that does is makes the background less confusing and it pushes you forward, it makes you more important. Yeah, Judy, how did I manage not to have reflection on my glasses? I've actually done the shot inside. on these ones. I've used the light coming through a window to light myself, which is normally the best light because it's nice, it's quite soft. As you can see, the shadows, I'm pointing at the shadows on my faces. The shadows on my face are soft. They're not dark and black and not contrasty. And also, I'm not facing the window. So the light's coming more from the side, so they're not reflecting on my glass. If I was facing the window directly, high chance I'll be reflecting. In fact, I'm going to go, I just want to go back a couple of slides. That's one on the right there. I'm facing the door that the light's coming through. As you can see, there's no shadows on the side of my face, and I've got those reflections of the door in my glass. Whereas the photo next to it, I'm facing the other way. So there's no direct light on me. That is where I was, yeah. So, yeah, it's tricky sometimes not to get reflections on your specs. Also, if the lights are slightly above you and you tilt your head down, you can also avoid it as well. So, but the beauty of this, you can see your own image of the screen of your phone while you're doing this, and you'll be able to see reflections on your glasses. So my advice is slightly move around until the reflections are gone. On this photo of myself, I'm actually, like, as I said earlier, I'm seated at a table, and I've actually gone slightly skewed. So skewed, that's a bit Freudian, slightly skewed. So instead of facing the camera straight on like this, I turn myself 3/4 to make myself a lot more relaxed, and I like to use the word conversational. So I don't know, Judy, if that answered your question, but fortunately with the phone, you can actually check before you take the shot as well. So try not to get direct light, try and get light from the side. If you're using a LED ring light in front of you, normally that gives a nice soft light, and it doesn't always give a reflection on the glasses. Just check it before you take the shot. So that's taking a selfie. When you're holding the camera yourself, using the front-facing camera, you don't have a friend or somebody around to help you do the shot. Follow those simple steps, and you can get you should be able to get a great shot. If you want to edit the image further, I haven't edited mine at all. These are straight off camera, straight off my phone. There's the onboard software of the phone, and then there's also free software that you can download called Snapseed, which is really, really great if you want to edit and play around with your images. And Snapseed, like I said, it's a free software. So the other thing you can do is ask somebody else to take your portrait, and either with their own phone or with your phone. Decide which phone based on who's got the better phone, and if rather have a phone that has portrait mode available. So when you're getting somebody else to take in a picture of you, they'll be using the front-facing camera on your phone. So if your phone has an optical zoom, and an optical zoom means it's zooming using the lenses and it's not digital zoom, and normally it would be a phone that has 2 or 3 lenses, but normally 2 lenses. So if it's available, use 2x zoom. If you don't do that, that lens is a standard wide angle. And on the next slide, I'll show you what the wide angle will do to you. It's not nice. So go for a 2x zoom, or if you have it, portrait mode. The reason you're doing this is to avoid distortion. And the other reason to use portrait mode is, once again, to play with your depth of field. Once again, eye contact and at eye level. So not shot from above, not shot from below. Framed nicely, as I covered with the selfie one, is the selfie image as well. So make sure that your friend or your partner or whoever's taking a photo of you frames you nicely in frame. And then also what I like there is, if you're seated, sit at a slight angle like I showed you just now, avoiding the ID pose. So you're nice and relaxed and conversational. You can also take a photo of you standing up, but I think for a profile pic like the seated, resting on the table like that is a lot more approachable, a lot more relaxed, and a lot less static. So, as I said, use the 2x zoom if it's available and shoot at eye level. The image on the left was shot with a standard lens, not going zooming in, so it's slight wide, and it's been shot from above. So my dear friend Ross suddenly has very big hair and quite a large forehead, because what happens now is the wide angle lens has distorted his face and made his face very much longer, which you really do not want to do. Whereas the shot on the right, he's more or less in the same pose as the first shot, but I've come down to eye level and I've used my camera on 2x zoom. I've done some with portrait mode as well, but this is with a 2x zoom. Sure, for now. Once again, and I've brought this up in the selfie thing as well, the instructions you need to give your friendly photographer is watch the background, keep it uncluttered. Like I said, I've used a door frame, you can use a plain wall, or just something that's not too busy, like the photograph on the right. There's just too much happening in there, and it just gets very confusing and distracting for somebody. Because what happens with a cluttered background is the emphasis is no longer on you. The emphasis is on you and everything around you. So if it was a situational shot, showing more about you and about what you do, well, first of all, you'd be in a less messy spot. So the left-hand one, shots on 2x zoom with the camera, much nicer, much more direct. The only thing, Ross does look a bit confused there. He's a little bit unsure of himself or quizzical. It's almost like, why the hell are you taking my photo? Look on his face. So make sure you are pleasant and approachable. You look a bit friendlier. So whoever's taking your photo, that's not their job. That's your job to make sure you're right. And once again, the nice thing with cell phone photography is at any time, your friend, or you can have a look at the photos they've taken and say, oh, you know what, come a bit lower or go a bit higher. Well, I don't like that background too much. Let's try and not get the light switch on the wall. Oh, it's looking very grubby too. Another reason to make it out of focus. So be pleasant, be approachable, make eye contact. Very, very important. Make eye contact and be, as I said, friendly. So that was using the zoom on 2x on the phone camera, where you don't have the ability to change the depth of field by changing the aperture setting in the editing software that comes with your camera, your phone. In portrait mode, it's more or less the same shot. The portrait mode is almost identical to going 2x zoom, but I can change the depth of field. So the shots on the left, it's the background's gone out of focus, makes Ross a lot more important and less confusing. The emphasis is on Ross. Having the out of focus background makes the image more three-dimensional, and it pushes Ross forward to make him more important. So to wrap up a presentable portrait pic, it's about you. It's not about anybody else. It's about you. As anybody else will be looking at the picture of you, wanting to hopefully learn something more about you just from your photograph. So you want them to find out that, yes, you are a nice person, and you are presentable, and you are professional, and you are honest, making nice, straight-on eye contact. So unless you're busy with a task or a related object that says more about you, about what you do, keep the eye contact. Always shoot at eye level. You can go slightly below eye level, because what that will do, if you go not too much down, but if you go slightly below eye level, it'll make you taller, but more important, it makes you more heroic, like a superhero, heroic. For ladies, the rule I have with portrait of the ladies is never ever shoot from below. Never ever, because there's a very good chance of a double chin. So it is what it is. Be pleasant, be approachable, be disarming. Fill the frame. You are the important subject of that photo, not the background, not what's on the table in front of you, not what's in your hand. It's you. If you're doing a selfie, don't get your arm in the shot that's holding the phone. Dead giveaway. And the last thing, what I haven't put on other slides, I left it to last, is avoid loud brands unless it's appropriate. There's a portrait right in the beginning that had an X in a box logo on. So it makes it more, tells more about that person, having that logo on there. But if you start having big Nike brands or Adidas or whatever else, it becomes too important in the image. because it's not about the brand, it's about you. You are your own brand. So keep a brand if it's appropriate. So for example, what I say by appropriate is if the profile pic is related to a company you work for, then maybe their logo on your shirt or something like that. But rule of thumb, keep them off. And that was, wow, that was an extremely quick how-to on cell phone portraiture. I hope I didn't go through that too far, but if anybody's got questions, I'll unshare my screen if it will let me. And then, Bianca, can you unshare my screen, please?